Hello and welcome to Wellness Wednesdays here at Creating Sustainable You. We're just going to give a few minutes for people to log on and check in. Today is a little different because we're pre-recording it since this kind of lines up to the holiday weekend. So I do want to encourage that as you watch this, feel free to comment below. We will be returning your comments, answering questions, and giving any feedback that would be useful. Also, if you think anyone could benefit from this, we're here today with Kelly Servis. She does social media marketing, and which right now is so crucial with so much business being online. And if you haven't really dove into that, it's nice to have an expert to help you through it. So if you know anybody, please feel free to share. Make sure to comment below. And I just want to start by saying, hi, Kelly. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself? And
Thank you so much for having me. It's super, super awesome. I've been watching you guys since you started, obviously, because you and I have been working together for a little bit. So it's really cool to be on this side of the camera and kind of, chat a little bit more about what I do and how I've kind of worked with you a little bit and how some of that has obviously come into play with the COVID. So just a little background on me. My name is Kelly Servis, and I'm the owner of Alchemic Creations. It is a brand strategy, marketing, and web design company. I started virtually, basically, which is why I'm so familiar with the tech world. I never really had your typical business. I went straight to online entrepreneurs, and that was really my go-to. I've been in business now since 2014. And obviously, as time changes, things kind of change and you just kind of roll with the punches. And so that led me to working locally, which I started doing here in January. And it's been awesome. I've gotten to work with clients like you, a couple other ones around town. And so it's been really cool to watch how things have pivoted. And so you and I have obviously been through a lot here in a very short time. So it's good. It's good to have some options and to be able to have other avenues, I guess, for lack of a better term. And that's kind of what we were forced to do with you. Obviously, you guys were shut down for the COVID and we couldn't really do much about you, not having the business that you normally did. So we obviously had to put our heads together and make some drastic changes, I guess you could say. And obviously Wellness Wednesdays has been one of them. So,
and I want to say one of the major things that you've done for me and that you do for your clients is you make sure you are truly guiding us with this because I'd worked with other people and said, I really don't know what I'm doing. I know what I want to have the results be, but, this isn't my expertise. And so I, felt like it was a little bit more shot in the dark and we were just kind of doing some things. And with you, I feel like you're very clear on, no, like this is not the right path. That's not going to get the results you're looking for, but this is what we need to do. And I really appreciate the guidance because otherwise it's like, oh, we take some pictures, we put some posts up, and we just hope good things come from it. And you're just so much more methodical and thought out, and there's a plan and a purpose behind everything that we're doing, which
amen.
is such a better investment for my business. And I love that, you take me through that and you're so organized and makes a world of difference.
Thank you. I love hearing that. The way that I think why you and I connected so really, so well right out the gates is because we run our businesses the same. It's not just a one and done solution for our clients. It's really understanding where their biggest pain points are and really understanding how we can help solve those. And not just being a solution, but helping train them so they can do it for themselves in the future. What's that saying? If you teach a man to fish, it's the same kind of concept. Like we're training you how to be able to be sufficient with or without my help, because you don't want to have me tied to you all the time. As a business owner, you're already so busy. So it's nice for me to be able to come in, really understand where you're struggling the most, and then just to be able to take the reins myself and just dive in. And that's been a really successful role that I've played with my clients is because like you said, I give coaching. And I think that comes from my background is working online is I really started in a brand coach role. It was training my clients on what was the right strategy for their business model. And that's kind of just shifted over the years. I kind of get in trouble sometimes because not a lot of people are used to the very blunt responses, I guess, for lack of a better term. But what I have found is it's the most successful for me because I'm not sugarcoating things for you. By being super honest and transparent with you, I'm helping elevate your business. I'm not holding back. I'm not keeping any of my expertise from you. So I think that's what kind of helps my clients really elevate, is because they have that real honest opinion as to what makes the most sense for them, and not just what's good for their pocket or their, their finances or things like that.
Yeah, and I mean, really, in turn, it is good for the pocket and for the finances because of the results that are coming out. And for me, every time I would invest in trying to have this social media world or website or, all of those things, I never felt like I understood what was happening or why. I was just kind of going through motions. And I feel like you've done such a great job at saying, this is why we're doing this is why we are not doing that. And this is what we plan to see and how long it should take to see that.
Yes.
And then, that's so helpful for me instead of I've gotten such vague responses in the past. Oh, well, we're gonna, this should bring in something very vague, and you're
Yep.
like, nope, this is the time frame. This is what we should see in that time frame. And as a business owner, I'm a lot more results oriented. If I'm going to help someone heal, I want to see improvement. I don't want to just keep going, oh, well, we're doing the same thing and nothing's changing, and sure, this is okay. That's not how I operate, and that's not how you operate. And I love that you can identify things and pivot immediately. This isn't working. We're doing that now. And you're so thorough and detailed, and it's such a weight off of my shoulders as a business owner with so many other things going on, and then being like, oh man, you're going to go through my website and fix all that stuff and discover that really I need a new website that is so much, because currently my website is a little more complicated. It's not as intuitive or easy for the user, which is bad for business. And
Totally.
I'm looking forward to the new website, which just makes it so much easier for customers to learn what I'm doing.
And we originally didn't even start out with the website, right? Like,
no.
We started with the marketing plan, and then all of a sudden, the more we kind of dug into things, the more we realized that the messaging wasn't quite aligning with the physical, appearance of things. And so we've really been working hard behind the scenes, and, to kind of say thank you to COVID. It's one of the only positive things that I could say really has come from this so far, is we had the time, and we've talked about this, we had the time to really think and to get clear, and not just for your business, but for personally, professionally. A lot of people have taken the time to get clear on what they want from this. And for you, we realized right away that you're not just a massage studio. You're not just this one-stop shop. You're a wellness center. And so it's a lot of things that are encompassed into that. And so we are really working hard on branding that messaging and letting people know that this is, all kinds of things, not just massages, but we got all this stuff going on. So it's been really cool to be able to kind of see how you've grown and pivoted in such a short time with the clarity that you've gotten. And we really have the game plan to get us to that next step that we've talked about so much.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And you've done such a good job, like in the evaluation when we met, you went through all of my social media. You looked at where I was on Google. You looked at the website. You looked at Facebook. You looked at Instagram. You found all these flaws and these disconnects that, as I fumbled around, I was like, I've got an Instagram and it's connected to my Facebook page, I think. And, and that you speak that language and you know where to go to find those disconnects and connect them. And then to see the results, for you to actually show like, oh, look, how many people are clicking, how many people are going to the website from this. Look at, we're getting so much more traffic. And what we were seeing before is that there was, especially the website, there was traffic to the website, which has definitely increased, but the website wasn't converting that traffic into giving the clients the information they were looking for, or getting the help that they were needing. And so
what I always tell people is have a method to your madness, because you're just wasting your time, your money, your energy, and your sanity by just throwing things at the wall and hoping they stick. With us, we obviously sat down and we realized where there were issues and where there were problems and what we needed to do to adjust that. So that was a really big point for you. And I love that. I think it's going to help your people, obviously get to right where they need to go and understanding right away what you guys are about. And that's kind of the thing with my clients and all businesses, right? You don't want to have your client or your customer have to figure out what you do or what you're about. It should be pretty instant. And so with my business name, it's a little bit more confusing because a lot of people don't understand the term Alchemic Creations and what that's about. So my work has to really kind of come through, and my business model has to be known because my business name is a little bit confusing. it's just one of those things you have to make sure all those pieces come together and that you're telling the right story. And so it's been a really cool journey watching you kind of go through that with me.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, we, even with the idea of the wellness center, you've been so great about saying, okay, well, what does that mean? Because there's chiropractors who do nutrition and they're a wellness center. And, so to clarify and have a direct plan of how to get the message out that, we do emotional healing, we do energy work, we do colonics, we have Ayurveda, we have yoga therapy. And what is yoga therapy? And
Totally.
that you really clarified the specific paths for the categories and how to share them in a way that people understand what's going on. And so it's been great taking this time. I know if you've followed us, maybe you haven't seen all of those changes just yet because we've been doing a lot of the behind the scenes work. But what's coming out of it and what we're getting ready to launch is just hands down a different beast. And
I mean, we've created programs in the short time that we've been together that we're getting ready to launch. We've kind of rescaled. Obviously, we're redoing the logo and the brand itself. So we've really done a lot in such a short time, and people really aren't even, like, we haven't debuted any of it yet, right? So it's really exciting because we're just getting to the very, very surface of things with you, and it's just going to be so amazing to see how that comes together and people really get the clarity on, what you're about and the fact that you can do all these different healings. Because it's like you were saying earlier, people, they come in for a massage and they think that's going to be enough, but it's a whole picture. And so it's kind of the same thing in me. They come to me for either a logo or a social media graphic, and then we get in and it's a whole big picture, right? You have to understand that all these little things connect to each other and they've all got to be talking in this circle. So you're constantly moving forward.
yeah, and it just, I mean, we can see a lot of things on the back end changing already from what we've done and with your guidance. And so, if you're a business owner and right now with all of the changes and the pivots that you might have to be taking, whether it's communicating about what you're doing for COVID, or maybe you've gone online, which we're about to launch a whole bunch of online services and memberships and things. And so we've needed a new platform to house that. We've needed a plan on how to let people know that that's what we're doing. And so if you're in that position and you're going, well, now what? Now, I've been this word of mouth in-person business for so long, and that's changing. And so many people have gone online. How do I keep those customers and make new customers while changing my approach to communicating with them? Because so many more people at this point are going online, shopping online, reviewing and researching online before they make the action and the decision to come into a business. And yeah, so I just feel so grateful that we met in the beginning of March. Was it?
Yeah, it was
like
right before everything
March?
hit. Yep, you pretty much signed with me, and then COVID kind of shut everything down, and it really kind of flipped us. We had this whole game plan in place, and all of a sudden we're starting from ground zero to really figure out what that looked like. And so I know there's a lot of businesses out there right now who obviously were kind of, well, hopefully coming to the tail end of things. But a lot of people didn't really know how to deal with this, and they kind of just shut down and went dead in the water. And unfortunately, they just didn't have the clarity or the knowledge or the ability to research the opportunities that they could have taken. I saw so many businesses with lost opportunity because they were either, not knowledgeable enough in the technology world. They were too afraid to kind of dive into it. It's just one of those things. You talked to Nicole of Makers and Shakers last week, and basically she was talking how they were forced to go onto Instagram Live and start kind of pivoting their business that way. It's one of those things where if you're not ready for anything to go, like, you're going to be stuck in the water. You're going to not have any opportunities. So it's really important that you have some sort of game plan at all times to make sure you have your bases covered, right? You got to cover your ass. It's one of those things that my dad has always said to me, make sure every base is covered.
And, even like I tend to pivot and think of things, but that doesn't mean that I have the skill set or understanding of how to implement that. So I'm like, oh, I have these great ideas. Help? How do I do that? And so, and also one of the things I think that you're great with is being able to brainstorm with the business owner and look at a new perspective. Hey, have you thought about doing this? Hey, did you know you could do that? because like you said, if you don't have the knowledge and understanding of how to do something, it's really scary. And so, having an expert who is very, level-headed, direct, great communicator, and has your best interest at heart and is not afraid to tell you the truth, which I prefer direct communication.
Yep.
Like, just tell me to not waste any more time and effort on this if that's not for the benefit that I'm going for.
Yeah, because how does it benefit you if you're just sitting there spinning your wheels over and over again? And I know myself that that's not going to work, but I'm just going to keep it quiet because I don't want to step on toes or hurt feelings. It's not doing anybody the benefit. And so that's why I'm so set on making sure that I'm transparent. I let everybody know from the second we have our first initial consultation, you may not like what I have to say, but that's okay because I'm actually helping you grow, because those things that you're not liking hearing, you're leaving as what they are because you don't want to address those facts. And that's kind of how the universe works it, right? You can hear all those signs of change. If you choose to ignore them, you're going to get it slapped in your face to make sure it's changed anyways.
Well, I also like that we had a conversation about, you were asking, I forget exactly the question that you asked, but we line up in the sense that I said, I'm the best at what I do. And I don't need you to tell me how to do my job as a healer.
Yep.
And I'm expecting that you're the best at what you do from what I can tell. And I don't plan to tell you how to do your job. So, that's the agreement, is that it's like, I know that I'm not the best at the social media marketing and the technology stuff, and I haven't felt confident at any point in time with what I'm doing. I just am like, okay, like this seems great, let's just do that.
Perfect.
Right, it'll work. And so to have you with just the awareness and best interest and the knowledge to guide me, I love being able to hand that over, and then you say, okay, that's not your job, do this, and this is what I need from you to do my job, and just you simplify it. You take out all the complex stuff, and then I see things changing, and I'm like, wow, I didn't know my email could have a fancy signature. Silly things that just, if you want to know where I'm at with technology, and the way that you change the description in Instagram and those things, and how we're seeing more and more clicks.
Growth in general.
Yeah, in general, from the changes that you make, that I'm like, I have no idea how you did that, and I don't need to know. I don't want to know. I'm just glad you did it, and that I just need to give you this much information so you can go do all of that work. And
I always tell my clients, like, stay in your lane. You know what I mean? Like, I know nothing about massage therapy. I know nothing about EFT or any of that stuff, except for the little experiences that I've had in those worlds. So I would never come to your place of employment or your home and be like, hey, this is what you need to do. Just like you would never go to the doctor's office and tell the doctor that he's wrong, right? It's like, these people take the time and the education and the money to get to be the experts that they are. And so who am I to tell you that you're not good enough or that you're not, you're wrong? It's like, no, let the people who have been trained in the areas that they're trained in do what's good for you. And then you stay in your lane and focus on what you're good at. It just keeps everything running so much smoother when everybody knows where they belong and what they're good at, and they can really excel in their strengths. And it's even better when they're humble enough to know where their weaknesses are and to ask for the help or to reach out to where they need the extra guidance or whatever that is.
So you mentioned a couple of things. Who would be someone who would seem ready to work with you? Like, describe like what they might be feeling or experiencing in this moment, in this new age of COVID.
Yeah, I actually kind of work with two sets of people, right? I work with the ones who are they're just getting started. They really have no idea what that looks like. They don't know what the business name is. They don't know what the logos look like. They don't know what any of the actual model feels like. So that's one of my guys that we kind of get started with. My other guy who I've really been dealing with in the COVID type times, I guess, for lack of a better term, is the ones who have been in business for a while, but things kind of came to a halt. And it was just one of those things where you either go quiet and you kind of shut your doors and that's what it is, or you realize that this is your only lifeline and you figure out what that looks like to make that keep going. And so that's where I really had a lot of interaction the last few months. A lot of people kind of died down and didn't have any business, going on the last few weeks. I ramped up. My stuff got busier in the last few months than I've been in a couple years. So it's all because of the fact that I realized this is a point where I have to be able to help people tune. I have to, or to turn, I mean, they have to be able to kind of go a different route than what they had planned, because I can't let people just sink. And I think that's why I get along so well with my clients. They become my family because I really dive into their business. You know what I mean? I become an employee with my clients. I become a staff member. I am there through thick and thin, ride or die. Like, my employees or my clients know that they can call me at any point in time for whatever it is, and we're going to get it handled. And so COVID was one of those things, you know, they didn't really know what that looked like, but it was my job to start brainstorming, coming up with new ideas, circulating my already known world of the online world into their local world, which was all in person. So it was a really nice ability for me to kind of take my old and mix it with my new and have all these new creations come about from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of those things that I think right now it's so crucial that if you're not thinking about how to adapt, that you're going to be hurting a lot more. And
if it didn't show that to you, you don't deserve to be a business owner, right? I mean, if you're not prepared for these type of situations moving forward, you just don't have what it takes. And I don't say that to be mean or cruel, but that's kind of the cold, hard reality, right? It's not easy being a business owner. We always have to be doing multiple things. And this is a prime example. If you're not able to kind of shift when you need to, you got to figure out what your plan B looks like.
And I've heard some pretty inspiring stories. There were a couple of restaurants down in Sacramento, a pub that had put up a sign after, about a month into COVID saying, after 30 years in business, we don't see a light at the end of the tunnel. And, we're closing our doors, which is so devastatingly sad. And then there was a barbecue joint that in Sacramento, in the same city, and they said, I'd always wondered what it would be like to have a takeout business. And so they trained all of their wait staff to do food prep. And, just like a month ago, they had hit more sales in their takeout than they ever did in their in-restaurant business. And now that the restaurant can reopen, they're keeping the takeout business that's just as successful. So it's like they got two businesses out of this. And
we had one locally who did it too. You know that, right?
Yeah.
The cupcake shop, she did the same thing. She kind of had to force her doors closed. And so she went into the model of selling these homemade cupcake kits where you can take her ingredients, take them home and make the cupcakes at home. And so now as she's starting to pivot and reopen her doors, that's still a major leg of her model now.
Yeah. And so it's one of those things that if you can't see what the other option is, I think you're a great person to work with because you've seen so many businesses pivot and you've helped so many businesses pivot, and you also are really good about asking the questions like, what are other businesses like yours doing right now, or have done, or even if it's something you go, oh, I don't want to do that. It's like, well, why?
Yep.
Oh, because it's new, it's challenging. So you're really good about, it's true, it's coaching. It's like coaching through that process of like, oh, it's uncomfortable and it's new and I don't, want to. And you're like, come on, we're doing
it anyways. We're doing it anyway.
And I think that's a huge piece, is feeling like, okay, like this is all new and unknown and I'm not sure. And to have you go, that doesn't mean it isn't going to work. That doesn't mean it isn't going to be successful. It's just going to be a growing pain that we're going to go through. And so I think that's a huge blessing that you bring with your work. So.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. It's definitely been a really great change of pace for me to be able to work locally now. Like I said, I've always had the entrepreneurial mind, and so thinking outside of the box from day one has been what I've been forced to do. So now to be able to bring all those things to my local clients who have never really crossed these paths or these bridges, it's just really exciting to help guide them through and be like, I know it's scary. I know that seems crazy. I know nobody else in Chico is doing this, but this is why we're doing it. You know what I mean? We are going to make waves. We are going to be the first person in this town doing that. And I love that about it, because once they get through that initial fear and they really come, get the clarity that they're looking for, they thrive after it. They really feel, this next level of happiness that they just hadn't had before because they were either stuck in fear or resource limitation, whatever the case is.
And really, this is a time where there's so much change going on. People's habits have changed. People's patterns have changed. that people are looking for different ways to get their needs met. So it's not that they don't need your service or product, but they are looking for a new way to find it. So it's the perfect time to do something different and new so
Yep.
that you can meet them where they're looking and you can get them what they need where they're trying to find it. And so,
Totally.
it's not too late either. I think, it's if looking at your business model, it's a great time to go, okay, like there's a little bit of that sink or swim that's coming up, and you've got a lot of momentum. And if you do have a lot of momentum and you're not sure where to put it because you have this in this successful way, then finding someone who can guide you with that momentum in a direction that it can continue to move.
And
Um,
what's it hurt? You know what I mean? Because it's either that or fail. So it's like you really don't have any choice. So you might as well make the pivot and really figure out what that looks like for your business. There's
mhm.
just a lot of opportunity right now for especially a lot of local businesses that I think they're not prepared to start looking there, and they need to be. If you're a small business owner right now and you're kind of afraid to either take your sales virtually or to start having online webinars or whatever the case is, now is the time. Things are starting to reopen, but that doesn't mean they're going to stay open. We really just don't know at this point in time.
And
So get clear.
it also doesn't mean that everyone who was coming in is going to come back out. I mean, there's still people who fall in the risk category, uh,
Yep.
and need to stay protected, and that they're not going to be rejoining us the way that they were before because of the need to watch out for themselves. And so this is a way to reopen and continue moving the way that you were, but also to continue to serve that demographic that is going to need a different way to be served. So,
Totally. And that's how I would kind of position myself if I was, another local business owner like in the field right now. I would be assuming the mindset that my business is not going to be reopening the same way at this point. I would just assume right now that things are never going back to normal. So what does that look like moving forward? If I can't go back to what it was, what are new avenues of revenue that I can bring in? What are new ways that I can speak to my clients? What are new ways that I can make my clients feel safe, heard, welcome? These are all things that you should be thinking about, discussing with your staff, getting somebody, a consultant or whatever the case is. These are really critical questions right now that at this point in the game, if you're not having those conversations or those worries keeping you up at night, like I said, you probably shouldn't be in the business at all, because this is the time to be really, asking yourself the hard questions.
yeah, and I think there are some people who are finding, because it is so challenging being a business owner in any economy, that, whether it's working with employees or working with the public or working with regulations and working with the economy, that, I think some businesses, this is a gift in the sense that they get to leave a life of stress that they weren't wanting to be in anyway. And then for others, it's an opportunity to grow and excel and change and evolve. And so,
Yeah, because your business shouldn't be what, makes you feel depressed at night. It shouldn't lead you to negative feelings. Your business should be a happy thing. As business owners, we're really blessed because we get to do something that we've chosen to do every day, right? Like as everyone else who gets up and goes to work, they do a lot of stuff they don't want to do because they have to. As business owners, obviously it's the same in a lot of areas, but we chose that path. So it's really, we're passionate about whatever it is that we're doing. And so if we just kind of keep that in mind and moving forward, you have no choice but to pivot and keep going and figuring out what that looks like as a business owner, because you love it so much. It's all you really kind of know.
and this has been so fun because this is one, I'm really passionate about my business. I love helping people. I love helping people find what is the best thing for them to heal and to move forward and to grow and to find comfort and peace and joy in their lives. And you are doing a lot of that for me, and healing fear around moving forward with maybe technology things, and taking that glass ceiling off of like what I can do. And I'm very excited about what we're about to release and all that we've done, and to be able to share that with everyone. And I'm very excited to share you because of what you've done for me. I hope that others who are looking for your services and your needs and your support um, will reach out to you. How do
Thank you.
people, should they best get a hold of you?
Yeah, so my business, like I said, is it's Alchemic Creations. And so you can find me on Facebook, you can find me on Instagram. I'll go ahead and drop my links to the chat after we get off of here. But basically, if you just need a consultation, if you just want to kind of pick my brain a little bit, you can give me a call at 530-524-5486. And again, I'll drop all my contact information below. But I'm open. I have, client packages that I can offer depending on if you have website goals, if it's just social media marketing goals. If you're really looking for clarity on your brand strategy and what that kind of looks and feels like.
Or what that means.
What that means, yeah, because there's a lot of people that don't even understand the term strategy, right? There's just so many things that come into play with that kind of terminology. Just give me a call. Let's go ahead and jump on a call and see what we can do. And just, tell me what your business is about and what your pain points are. I'd love to just kind of hear and see if there's anything that I can offer, whether it's just some advice or maybe some more help.
And also, you can comment below. We'll be watching the replay. So if you just want to pose a question and get a quick answer, this is a great way to do it as well.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you and everything that we've done together so far. I can't wait to see how everything goes. I hope you all have a fantastic 4th of July. Stay safe and everything good there.
Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for being here, Kelly. And on a side note, Kelly is always here when we do our Wellness Wednesdays. She is always in the background, making sure she's handling all of the technology, connecting our speakers. So if there's anything that drops or they're having challenges with, she walks them through it. I love her, and I'm so grateful for her for my business. And thank you for tuning in to Wellness Wednesday. Have a wonderful 4th of July weekend. And, feel free to reach out to her if you have any questions, and tune in next week. I hope we have something wonderful for you to connect to and learn more from. All right.
We do. We have lots of stuff coming. So stay tuned, you guys. Thank you again for having me. You guys all have a great week.